The president took decisive and immediate action the end of January to shut down flights from China. That was criticized by the WHO. It was criticized by other people as xenophobic and racist, and travel bans don't work. Well, this one sure did. So we have every right to know, and every right to know because of what's happened here in this global pandemic. But there's another reason. Some of the scientists and doctors say that there could be other strains later on. This can come back in the fall in a limited way. This is COVID-19, not COVID-1, folks. And so you would think the people charged with the World Health Organization facts and figures would be on top of that. That this is just a pause right now. So there's an investigation, examination to what happened, but people should know the facts.
You gotta love Kellyanne Conway patronizing everybody by saying that this is COVID-19, not COVID-1, while not understanding that they're not numbered for the different strains, they're numbered for the year. This is COVID-19 because it came about in 2019. It doesn't mean there were 18 other coronaviruses and so we should have been prepared. It means that a virus came about in 2019 and so it was named accordingly. Although I will admit, to have that much arrogant confidence in your own ignorance must be nice. Now, aside from her condescending about the definition of COVID-19 that she herself didn't understand, the point of Kellyanne being trotted out is to try and lend credence to the latest attempt by the White House to diffuse responsibility away from Trump. Because after all, what would Kellyanne do if not help Trump spin lies on national television? But this latest spin session comes after Trump announced that he would suspend funding to the WHO in the middle of a pandemic.
Today, I'm instructing my administration to halt funding of the World Health Organization while a review is conducted to assess the World Health Organization's role in severely mismanaging and covering up the spread of the coronavirus. Everybody knows what's going on there. One of the most dangerous and costly decisions from the WHO was its disastrous decision to oppose travel restrictions from China and other nations. They were very much opposed to what we did. Fortunately, I was not convinced and suspended travel from China, saving untold numbers of lives. Thousands and thousands of people would have died.
Of course, blaming the WHO is Trump's latest scapegoat after failed efforts to blame China, Obama, Democratic governors, the Mexican border, the FDA, Joe Biden, inspectors general, and somehow even New Yorkers flying to Florida. The point is that Trump needs a scapegoat because unless he blames someone else, his supporters would realize that it was his own failed response that got us where we are today, which is the most cases and the most deaths on the face of the earth. But the thing about trying to scapegoat the WHO is that South Korea had its first case on the same day as the United States, and they successfully flattened their curve, meaning that it wasn't the WHO, it was our government that royally failed at responding to the crisis. If we lived in a vacuum, that would be one thing. If we were the only nation in the world dealing with this crisis, then maybe Trump would be able to convince people when he says that in fact our response is excellent and he reacted quickly and it was all perfect. But we have almost every other country in the world to compare ourselves to. So we can simply look at the curves of other countries like Germany, countries like South Korea, like Italy, like Spain, like the UK, like France, and see clear as day that we are not responding well, that we have in fact the worst response on the face of the earth. I don't know how much clearer I can make this for people who buy into Trump's misleading rhetoric, but you cannot look at our curve compared to other countries and think by any stretch of the imagination that what has happened here was a success. By the way, the entire basis for Trump's beef against the WHO is flawed. He's basically claiming that the WHO failed to act early and just took China's word that everything was fine, when there are literally tweets from Donald Trump showing him taking China's word for it that everything was fine. On January 24th, he tweeted, "China has been working very hard to contain the coronavirus. The United States greatly appreciates their efforts and transparency. It will all work out well. In particular, on behalf of the American people, I want to thank President Xi." Meanwhile, it was the WHO that was publicly urging countries in January to prepare for containment. On their own website on January 23rd, the day before that Trump tweet, the WHO wrote, "It is expected that further international exportation of cases may appear in any country. Thus, all countries should be prepared for containment, including active surveillance, early detection, isolation and case management, contact tracing, and prevention of onward spread of COVID-19 infection, and to share full data with WHO." In other words, what Trump was complaining about literally applied to himself and not the WHO. But the scariest part is that the WHO is going to be the victim of Trump's desperation to point fingers at someone else. And look, is the WHO perfect? No. Should we be paying the lion's share of funding for an international body? No. But to cripple that organization in the midst of the worst global pandemic in a century is not just stupid, it's dangerous. And yet that's how far the president is willing to go in his desperation to prove that, per usual, someone else is to blame.